morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Lagos. How are we all doing? I hope everybody's good. Welcome to another episode of Up You with Ezinne, the space where we pause, breathe, and realign. If this is your first time here, you're very welcome. And if you're a regular, thank you for choosing to do this inner work with me again and again and again. Today's conversation is not loud. It's not hurried. It's not performative. It's a check, a moment to ask ourselves one honest question. What in my life is out of order? Not what looks good on Instagram or Facebook, not what people applaud, but what quietly, internally feels misaligned. We know, but sometimes we don't probe. But today, we're asking you to pause and come up probing if there's anything like that with us. Let's do this, my beautiful people, as we journey together to finding self and finding purpose. My name is Ezinne and I'm your host. You see, we live in a world that celebrates motion, not direction, noise, not clarity, busyness, not alignment. We major in the minor and minor in the majors. And sometimes the most spiritual thing we can do is to stop and check our order. Stop and check your order. Because misalignment doesn't always show up as chaos, contrary to what we think. Sometimes it shows up as tiredness, restlessness, a lack of peace that you can't explain. When you keep going to hospital and you're saying, I'm ill, and they say, no, you're not ill, all the tests will be run, and nothing shows up. That's what it's all about. That's misalignment. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. But before we dive in, please take a moment to like and share the stream. Let's spread the word and bring more people into this meaningful conversation. We're live on YouTube. Please follow us at Up You with Ezinne across all platforms and catch up on past episodes of this show. We don't want you to miss a thing, and that's why we're everywhere. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, we're there. You find us. Whatever your preferred platform is, you find us there. And now it's time to bring up our guest for today. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stay with me as I bring up our guest to the stage. And let's see, just hold on. Da 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 da. This is when the drums should be rolling. Drum roll. Just hold on a second. We're coming, we're finding her. When something is very precious, it's not easily located. So we're looking for her and we have found her. And ta-ra! Yes, our guest is up here. Oh, okay. I lost her just there. But hold on a second. Bringing her back up. Okay. Yep. Now there we are all set. And yes, it is my pleasure this morning to introduce our guest. I couldn't have done this conversation alone. I needed someone who understands clarity, faith, and intentional living, someone who helps people move from confusion to purpose. My guest today is Omeyi Yans, also known as Omeyi Speaks. Omeyi is a clarity coach, a consultant, an author, and faith-driven entrepreneur who helps business owners gain direction, confidence, and strategic focus, blending biblical values with practical business strategy. She holds a degree in economics from Trent University in Canada and a master's in digital marketing and business transformation from Rome Business School. She has supported entrepreneurs across fashion, beauty, maternity, food, and bridal industry. I'm thinking. Helping them refine strategy and take actionable steps forward. She's also an author of journals for moms and parenting books, The visionary behind Faith Bitters and the singer songwriter of the spirit led gospel project Gift from the Secret Place. Beyond all of that, Omeyi serves on the Green Worship Planning Committee supporting underprivileged children here in Nigeria. She is happily married and blessed with two sons. Dear everyone, world over, please join me to welcome the one and only Omeyi Yang to the show this morning.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
morning,
you
Omeyi.
so
How
much.
are
Good morning.
you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me.
After the long chase from 2025, we finally aligned in 2026. I love this. Omeyi, you know what? I'm just looking at all the things you do. You songwrite, you write books, you go into parenting. Oh my goodness, you read economics, and then you a digital marketer, business transformation. Just tell me, how do you get all of this to align? How? What's pushing you? What's leading you? How you
O-
forms? Or how do you forms? Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Okay, so the first thing is all those things did not happen at the same time.
good.
They happened during seasons of my life. There are actually
Mm.
some things that even happened that are not here, that are not
Yes,
even
because
listed. Because I was trying to
exactly,
make
I couldn't read everything.
exactly. I was trying to make it as short as possible because even before all this, I ran a maternity resale business for over a decade, and that is not even there.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh
before I
wow.
talk about everything. But I've learned to take my life per season and based on the leading of the Holy Spirit. So that's how I'm able to do all that in a nutshell. So I guess as we continue this conversation, it will become clearer. But that is it in a nice summary.
Thank you very much. I like what you said. Everything is per season, So each season came with something, and then you had to do what you had to do. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Okay, so let's just dive in, and everyone put your questions out. We'll be able to take your questions, and we will be able to respond to your questions as we go. So let's go very quickly. Omeyi, we're going to start from the beginning because I believe that alignment starts from the inside. And so, my first question to you this morning is many people listening right now are doing a lot, but are feeling unsettled. What area of life do you find people feel the most unrest in, and why?
Okay, so most times I think most people have their issues usually how they are on the outside and compared to how they are on the inside. So for a career person, it could mean misalignment in her job. For a business person, it could even mean misalignment in your business, or you've gotten to the point where I've done this business for so long. Is my identity is now sort of tied to the business. I feel like it's time to move, but because of how it will be perceived, they just keep going. So it's like imagine that you're just going even though you are running on empty. So I think for women, especially when we now add family, children, marriage, all those things destabilize a lot of us. But again, we want to keep the front of, I'm a serious woman, I have my life in order. And so we just keep going. So I think in that area is that, just keep going. That is the problem. We don't stop.
Hmm. 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 And that keep going is outward looking, not inward focused, right?
Exactly. So on the job, if there's a woman that has the job, she may be performing, she's still a high flyer, everything, but she gets up every day sort of depressed. Not depressed clinically. I just mean like I
Yes,
really don't
I
want to
know.
do this today. Is this again? Dreading Mondays, overexcited on Fridays, you know,
Mm-hmm.
those are subtle signs as a business owner. Your business just feels like you're going through the motions, you're like rolling your eyes. Maybe, things that used to excite you when customers ask you questions and stuff. Now you're just answering like, just doing everything just because. So you've lost the reason, the real why, and the drive behind it. And usually, it's only you that knows at the beginning. But as time goes on, we give ourselves away. It may take a while, but it will eventually show.
Wow. Can you tell us from your experience and knowledge as a clarity coach, why do people avoid doing introspection? Why, when they feel these things, let me call them things, subtle tingling in their inner self that, oh, this is not it. This is, when you start asking yourself, is this all there is?
To me.
Is this all there is? Is this enough? When you start getting those things that, something is out of order, why do we not pause as human beings to examine it? Why are we afraid?
Exactly. That's what I said. First of all, it's actually a scary process. So
Mm,
the way we are, the way we are wired as human beings, there's a part of our brain that works with autopilot. So for example, as long as you're a normal person, a normal person that is clean, you don't
mm-hmm,
have to think about, oh, I have to have my bath today, I have to brush my teeth, I have to change my clothes, I have to make my bed. Your brain has done that on autopilot through the years. So you
mm-hmm.
don't think about it. No matter how exhausted you are, you do all those things. And those things are easier. It's easier to live life that way. It's not optimal, but it's easier. So when this tugging now comes, this tugging requires an interruption. It requires a conscious stop. And that's when it gets difficult because we are so used to the noise. Again, it's easier to walk through the noise. It's easier. So think about maybe you're at a party that is loud. So if I'm at a party that is loud, I'm shaking my head, whatever. At that point in time, if you look at me, you're not going to know anything is wrong. I don't even have the space or the mind, I don't have the space to figure out what is wrong. So most of us just keep going on with the activities because it gives us the illusion that as long as I'm moving, I'm making progress. The problem is movement, speed do not always mean progress. Because, for example, I live on the mainland, if I wanted to come to the island, there's a particular route I must take. If I go in the opposite direction, it will lead me towards like I'm going to camp, Ibadan, and all that. I may be going very fast. Someone may be looking at me and like, this girl is fast. She's driving so well. But guess what? I'm going in the wrong direction. So some of us get caught up in that and we just keep moving. But again, it is because to consciously stop is a scary process. Why is it scary? Because we are not used to it. We are used to working on autopilot because autopilot makes us more efficient. The problem is that we have that autopilot feature for is meant to be for mundane things, things that, again, as I mentioned, having your bath, brushing your teeth, you are getting your children ready for school, driving your car to familiar places. But we need to now know when, okay, this works in certain areas, it doesn't work in other areas. For example, you cannot worship God on autopilot. You
Hmm.
cannot truly worship God on autopilot because if you do that, that means there's no thought in what you're doing. And God Himself is mindful of us. So, which means when we worship, our minds have to be in it. We have to consciously stop. But that is why even that is hard. It's the reason why some of us are in church on Sunday. And even though we are in church, we are thinking about, this afternoon, what is for lunch? So we are there, but we are not there. And that's just because, as I said, we are used to working on autopilot. Stopping is difficult. Stopping feels like an interruption. Stopping feels like, going backwards. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Honestly, you have just made very profound submissions here right now. You know, when you were talking about, oh, you could be on that highway driving very fast, and someone is looking at you and saying, "Oh, look at Omeyi, Omeyi is going so fast." Which is what we all do. We're spectators in other people's lives, and then we're using those other people's lives to now as benchmark, to judge our own progress as well.
Yeah.
No, not
Yeah.
realizing that we all have different sets of goals, and what is considered meaningful is different as per each and every one of us.
Yeah.
I just kept saying that, you know what? And unknown to the person watching you, they do not even realize that you're misaligned and going out of order, that you're not
Yeah.
heading to where you really want to head to. They just see
Mm-hmm.
your speed. And that just made me to realize that sometimes disorder isn't dramatic. you know
Yeah.
it's not going to appear in you becoming crazy or you doing crazy things. It's just subtle neglects, your little quiet things you're doing. And then, okay, so let's say you used to at 7 o'clock every day somewhere, then one day you don't turn up, then another day you don't turn up, and another day you don't. Before you know it, a whole week has passed by, you didn't turn up, and then
Yeah.
before you know it, a whole month. So I think that's what I got from what you said, and that is really, really very key. So if you know that you're going through any of this, what, for lack of the term to use, let me say withdrawal symptoms from life, where you're no
Mm-hmm.
longer living life at full crush and full zest, it's time to start asking yourself, what exactly is out of order in my life?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, May. Um, so of course, that brings me to asking you, what role does or our daily choices, you know, play? And today, the choices we make daily, do you think they really, really reflect what we say matters to us?
Hmm. Okay. What role do our daily choices play in the big
Mhm.
scheme of things? Excuse me. Well, our daily choices play a lot because you when you hear something when they break down time, normally it's easy to say, oh, 5 years time. And when we say that, it's abstract. 5 years is so far away. But if you break it down, 5 years, those are single years. Every year is made up of a couple of months. For example, January is ending. No matter how,
Hello.
yeah, no matter how much I pray or I fast or whatever, I'm not going to go back to January 1st, 2026,
Hmm.
which means the today is 28th, which means the 27 days that are gone are gone. So if I was meant to do something in those 27 days and I did not do them, and maybe the results, maybe I had imagine you have a 30-day program. If you are just starting today, even though you're on a 30-day program, you're on day one. Like, it doesn't matter even if the program is going to end in 2 days. You are not going to have the results of the person who started on the 1st of January. So that is how our daily choices matter. And if we now break down our daily choices, your day is hours, is minutes, is moments. So we have to be conscious of course, you cannot pick every minute and every second, but you should have blocks for the things that matter to you. So, for example, if I say, which it is, if I say my children matter to me, for example, when my children get back from school, we have this. If I'm not the one that goes to pick them, sometimes I pick them, sometimes my husband does. But if I'm not the one that goes to pick them, once they get back, while that downtime and all that, my younger one already knows. He just starts, okay, mama, here's the gist of today. But he'll give me update, be like, okay, today was not that dramatic. It's just small gists. But what have I said? At that period, I'm not on my phone. I'm not doing anything else. I'm not even reading a book. No matter how important, I'm not working. I'm not doing anything else in that 5 or 10, because if you think about it, it's not that long, even if it's 15 minutes. But in that time space where my children are, they brief me one by one. And luckily they close at different times, so I'm able to have the solo time. So in that time, the younger one comes first. So in that time that my son is telling me about his day, he has my full attention. And for me, that is a priority for me. I don't need to tell, so I don't need to emphasize, for example, that, oh, you know, you matter to me, you know, your voice, I care about your opinion, or, you know, I don't need to say that. He knows that. But why does he know that? In the choices I have made. He sees me once he starts talking. If I was on my phone, this is my phone, the minute he starts talking, I switch it off, I drop it, and I lift up my head. I'm like, hey, what's the gist? Then if he's sounding all down, I'm like, oh, okay. I first of all even try to filter the emotion. I'm like, okay, is this sadness, or is this tiredness, or are you angry? And he's able to filter. Sometimes like, no, I'm just tired, mama, or I'm just bored, or, you know, this was meant to happen in school today, I didn't expect. But what am I saying? In that moment, I have stayed true to myself. I have kept, so that is, for me, that's one of my daily choices. The build up of that is, my child is not going to be 30 tomorrow or 40 tomorrow, and now I'm trying to beg to have a conversation with him, which is what, you know, some of us do, because I built it up day by day by day. So when I try to now call him or speak to him when he's 40, it is not, oh, okay, you are bored now, maybe you don't have anything to do, that's why you are calling me, you know. So what am I saying? And that works in every aspect of life. We want to lose weight, we cannot lose weight in one day. It's a daily, you know. You want to stop something, you want to add something, you want to start to read a book. For example, now I said this year I'm going to get back into my book reading. Luckily, I'm in an academy that is pushing me to do that. But what do? I make sure, okay, this book is how many pages? Let's say it's 200 pages. I say, okay, I want to finish it in maybe 20 days. I do 200 divided by 20. Okay, that means I must read 10 pages every day. Some days I may be more overzealous, I read 15. Some days I was, you know, not that great, I read 5. But at the end of the 20 days, as long as I continue my process, I should be done. So our daily choices are very important. If we look at them that way, then we'll be able to achieve more, and we'll be able to have, you know, more important moments, as I said. So as I said, spending time with my son is 5 or 10 minutes, but in his head, that may be that I may have made his whole day. Yeah.
Thank you. As you were speaking, I was just saying to myself that you're very intentional, Omeyi, because some of us just wake up, dress up, hit the road, and say, "Oh Lord, here we come. Make sure we don't fall apart." You know, there's no intentional planning. There are gaps, plenty gaps between our values and our behavior. You find somebody who even says, "I want to read a book," and the person doesn't just make the kind of plans that you've made. And this is very, very if you've hung around a lot women a lot, a bit, you realize that most women want things and don't have any actionable plans on how to get them.
Mm-hmm.
There's usually a gap or gaps between the values and the behaviors. How can we close this? How can women intentionally close this gap?
Okay,
Because I
so
think, Mhm.
okay, sorry for interrupting.
No, it's fine. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think the first step, first of all, as you said, difference between our values and our actions. Some people don't even have their values laid out. So, what is important to you? And again, it depends on your season. So,
Mm,
my
that
children I'm
one
talking
here.
about, my children are teenagers now. So, they talk more. We didn't have to talk this much when they were 5. It was just more of, you know, hugs and whatever and all that. But what is important to you? So you have to have your values listed. So number one, I have my values. As a family, we also have our values. So for example, at the core of my values is faith. Faith is important to me, and it's not just It's not just it's not on autopilot, which means it's not because I wait till Sunday. No, it's important to me. So because of that, first of all, I have to first of all admit that it's important to me. So first of all is to have what are your values. So let's just pick three, for example. So let's say okay, I'm talking about faith. Let's say faith. I'm talking about my children. Let's say family, and let's say okay, reading a book. I'm talking about books. So first of all, you need to write them down. Write it down with your hand, pen and paper, journal. Write it down in the notes section of your book. Write it in your phone. Just have it somewhere where you know and all that. So when you now know that, okay, under this, what does it really mean? First, what does its value mean? So if I say faith is important to me, what does that mean? What constitutes okay living a faith-filled life? What does that mean? So faith, for example, you know that okay, that means I need to spend time with God. Okay, what does spending time with God mean? So you have to keep going. It's like you're dissecting it little by little. Okay, so for me, okay, because I know that okay, my mornings are maybe somewhat rushed or whatever. Okay, I have a Bible app that I list. It's like a Bible plan. I listen, there's an audio and there's like a chapter to read that morning. I do that. If there's more time in that day, we can go deeper. But what I'm saying is that I have that one as the first thing. Okay, no matter as bad as the bad, this this 15 minutes is for that. Like, and I do it. That's like, I try most of the time. Let me not lie. It's not always, but most of the time. That's the first thing I do, because that is my own way of saying, okay, God, you are important to me. Before I start gisting with the world, let me have this time with you. But again, because I've aligned what it is, doesn't mean in that early 10 minutes now I'm able to put in worship, prayer, everything. But at least I'm able to do something. So the point is, stop trying to say, okay, maybe under this particular value of mine, I have 10 things that matter. Because even in faith, if we go drill down, there are different things that you can put. No, can you just pick what's the most important, or what can you start with, so that it's also doable? Because you don't want to run on, January, everybody is, as we hear, the gyms are full in January. Before Valentine's Day is empty. Why is this so? It's because we are just running on vibes and motivation. So that's why I'm saying, rather than saying I have 10 things and I'm starting today, these 10 things I must do it today, this morning before I do it. No, 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 no. If you start like that, you are most likely going to crash. Same thing. Oh, I want to read a book. First of all, what books do you want to read? What is it on? Like me this year, my books border more around parenting. Then I want to know the Holy Spirit more. So those are so parenting and faith. That's where I am for now. It may change, but that's where I am right now. Which means you cannot come and give me another book right now and tell me I must read it with you right now because it's interesting and it was helpful to you. Is that book bad? No. But I don't, it's not in my space right now, and I cannot be pressured. So that's another thing. That also has to do with boundaries as well. So if you've decided that, okay, these are things that are important to me, don't allow other people's emergencies come and scatter your boundaries. So for me, those are the ways to close that gap. First of all, list it out, know what they are for yourself, then put the points under that make that thing. After putting the points under that make it, then pick how they say it in business, it's only called minimum viable is it offer or something, where do the smallest thing that it still matters, but start there. Because what that thing does is, first of all, it lets you celebrate small wins, like you are doing something. And the more you do, the more you make progress. Compared to you start at the very top, then one day you're not in the mood, you crash, and because now you were meant to do 10 and you did not do, before you know it, you have like 100 that you've not done. Then you're just like, you know what, I can't do this, and I give up. So for me, do them in little bits and pieces. So if you want to read a book this year, for example, don't join. There's this lady I follow. I applaud her. I give her all her flowers. She reads like, I think, is it 500 or 1,000 books every year. I'm not at her pace. But do I go there to be inspired? Yes. But do I go there and now start feeling bad and saying, this lady read 1,000 books last year or 2,000 books last year. Me, by force, this year, I can do this. No, I cannot do it because I've not built that muscle. Because if I bother to take time to study her life, I would probably realize that she has been on this journey for 5 years or 7 years
more.
or some or more, exactly. So be truthful to yourself. Where are you in that season? What can you accommodate? But the point is, know what is important to you, be able to list it out, and make steady progress daily.
Thank you very much. There's so many comments coming up. One of them just caught my eye. It says Omeyi is very intentional with everything too. So when what you're saying is being confirmed by people on the stream, then that is authenticity, and that's what we're talking about, and that's alignment. So thank you, Omeyi. I
Thank
couldn't
you.
help but, you know, you've talked about faith and faith and faith, and I just want to ask you, is our faith shaping our decisions, or do we consult God only after deciding? Because you're just landing everything on faith, and I just want to know.
Okay, so our faith should shape our decision. But yes, a lot of us actually do things and take it to God and tell him to stamp on it. But
Mhm.
if you have done that before and you have seen the outcome, wisdom, hindsight, experience will tell you that that way is not a good way. So I'm at that point now. That way is not a good way. I've done it before. I've done it several times because sometimes we have coconut head. It doesn't work because no matter how your best plan, like your best plan for yourself, no matter how amazing and grand it is not up to, if you are meant to divide, let's say God's plan is a number. Even if you do 1 trillionth of that number, your best plan is not up to God's 1 trillionth of his own plan for you. So when you come to that knowledge, which usually, as I said, coconut head has brought us to that knowledge, you come to realize that I don't know anything. At best, on my best days, I'm still foolish without the Lord. So we learn now to say, okay, if I'm not seeing, if I'm not seeing, I'm not seeing you leading me in this direction, I'm not going, and it's okay. I will stop. Or also, if you are leading me in a direction that doesn't make logical sense. So let me give an example of something like that in my life. You read, while you were reading my bio, you said singer songwriter. Like, how now? I'm not as in, so what do I mean? That is not, if you came to me to say, oh, sometime in your life you are going to do something like that, I'll probably have laughed. Because this project is not one song. So it's not that I released one song, it's actually six. and all were done by me. But they had come to me, over the years. Basically, I started getting those songs from 2020. The first time I got a song, I was literally coming out of the shower and I started laughing. Of course, I recorded it because it was so strong, but I didn't get why. And I remember asking, I'm like, why am I getting a song? Like, what's my own with this? My husband is the music guy, not me. So why am I
Mm.
getting this song? But I was like, okay, I recorded it and I left. Just by record, I mean voice notes, so that somebody will not think I went to go and record. That's at the beginning, it was just I recorded voice notes. So that's what I'm saying again. Document things. You never know. Document it. So I recorded a voice note. As time went by, maybe there was another song that came to me. How did it come? I was worshiping in my living room downstairs. Everyone had gone out. I was home alone, and I was this is me putting it mildly because I'm trying to still sound posh. But I was wailing. I was wailing. And by wailing, that kind of wailing, like your nose is running. Like nothing happened though. So this wasn't a wailing of sadness. So this was just it was one of those days. And I had finished worshiping. But in the middle of all that, I was singing a song I'd never heard. And that was how I recorded that song. So I have different moments of so that's how this album, this project came to be. But what am I saying? I now when I now felt the nudging that okay, yes, I know I gave you these things in your private moments. As I said, I recorded them as voice notes, and that was all. I was okay with that. But I started to feel a nudge to say, you need to put this out. Ha. I'm like, God, hello. But I'm not a singer. I'm not even trying to enter the music industry. I don't want anybody to now. You see that I don't want anybody. God is talking to you. I say you don't want anybody. Who is anybody? Then did anybody create you? But that's what we do, and that's what I did as well. I'm like, please, I don't want people to now start saying,
Is
she has been
Omeyi also among the singers?
she has been doing business, 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 all this while, all of a sudden now she now wants to sing. Azal now, what happened? So I even still sat on it. I was meant to do that. I was meant to put it out in 2023. But I didn't put it out 2023. I put it out in 2025. So I'm still saying there was still a struggle. Of course, even that 2023, life happened, something happened. I was going through a grief season, so I couldn't also just operate. But even when I came out of the grief season, I just used that, look, I'm grieving, I cannot do this. There's a particular time. I was like, but I still didn't do it. Till 2025, I felt like it's time. And that was when I finally did it. But what am I saying? I'm not, okay, since I did it, I've not gone to stand on any stage to sing because I've not been led to do that. But I was led to record it. So obviously last year now I had to properly put it out. So it is a proper like production and all that and everything, and it's on all music platforms and blah blah blah. But I was led to do that. And I had to get to the point where I don't care if anybody says I'm not a singer. I'm not a singer, no problem, but I have a music project. We need to get to that point where I'm not trying to do things based on what you think about me, but I want to do things based on how I am led. Because when you do things from that space first, there's a peace that comes, there's a joy that comes. Like when that project was out, there was this sense of, I don't know how to explain, like I was so happy, I was so proud, like my spirit was smiling. I don't know how to explain it. There was a form of joy. Mind you, I was not paid. In fact, we are the ones that spends money because producer is cost, all those things are cost. So if you look at it from that side, it's more of an expense,
Yeah.
but
So
it's something that gave me joy.
So you have actually just taken up this story you've told us, you've actually just taken through the whole gamut of today's episode. We're saying the alignment check. So you received those songs and you had to do a check in yourself. Am I aligned to do this? Because me, I'm not a singer. I'm not even a songwriter. From where to where?
Mm-hmm.
You were doing that
Mm-hmm.
alignment check and you were going through it and then you were processing it. It took you a couple of years.
Yeah.
Eventually, out. And then after you put it out, you're saying that you had such intense joy, such happiness. It made meaning.
Yeah.
It resonated with your core, your very, very values, your very self. And
Yeah.
like you said, it wasn't about Naira. It was
Mm.
something that checked. The alignment was correct. So you could flow in that zone. And that's why we're doing this, so that every other person can ask themselves, what in my life is out of order? Most of us just start things because people are doing it. For instance, oh, Facebook pays monetization, everybody jumps in. And against your better self, you're putting out stories that you know that you would not ordinarily put out. But that just
Mm-hmm.
because it's the kind of thing that every other person is saying, whether it's the truth or not, you're doing it. Oh, AI is here. Ah, AI. You can use AI and make Mrs. Akandem appear in London when she's still in Lagos. And you're doing it, and then so on. In fact, people are now writing blatant lies, on social media, just so the algorithm will push them forward and then they will end. That's why one key question that we had as a fallout of the webinar we had on Sunday was, who did you become to survive? That's
Mm.
really not who you are. An alignment is when you now say, okay, I did this or I'm doing this to survive. However, I need to align so that my core can be happy. Otherwise, like I was telling you before we started the show, you will finish running an entire year and you get to December 31st and you say, just what did
What
I
have I done?
do?
Yes.
Of a truth, you've been very busy. You went out
Mm-hmm.
every day. You did something every day. But there is nothing for you to put down and say, oh, that made meaning. And this is the one that satisfied my soul. And that's why
Yeah.
we're here today. And I thank you for throwing light as much as you have on all of this. Another thing I kept talking about was know the you are in, because some are in season one and we want to be in for season 100. And there, as a result of that, we are forcing
Mm-hmm.
doors instead of having doors open and having us walk through doors. Because if you're in alignment,
Yeah.
the doors should be opening, isn't it? Instead of you banging
Yes.
on it, hitting on it, and everything. So it's important that you pause, really pause. For some of us, we are forced to pause. We probably would never have stopped, but circumstances came and made us stop. That we were not, as we had absolutely nothing to do, so we had to start asking ourselves, is this it?
Mm-hmm.
But we're
Yeah.
saying to you, woman, today, you don't have to wait for life to stop you. Stop
Stop.
yourself now.
Yes.
And
Because
intentionally ask yourself, does this even make sense to me? Yeah?
to
Now,
exactly to me, yes, that's the key point.
thank you. So now back to you. Let's talk about the fact that when we're not aligning, we're suppressing emotions, you know. And from all that we've seen and all that I've read, when women suppress emotions, because most times I think that when something is out of order, it shows up in our emotions. It shows up in us
Yes.
being angry, snapping at people, and this and that. And then when we start suppressing it, we now start teaching ourselves how to divide wrongly. And then we now start getting ill and having those
Mm-hmm.
illnesses that show up in midlife or later life that will now cost us a lot of money and cost us the joy of living.
Yeah.
you know can you talk to us about how to examine our emotions without losing it, and how not to suppress our emotions, because those emotions are actually feedback that something is
Yes.
out of order in our life.
Yes. So, how to the emotional journey first, we have to take it as a daily work.
Hmm.
So for me, first of all, I take emotional intelligence courses. I'm trying to make it a yearly thing. I started 3 years ago.
Mm.
I take an emotional intelligence course. So for me, that is one way I submit myself to learning, because I don't think anyone can really arrive. Of course, there are some people that have mastered it. Again, me, I just started 3 years ago. Imagine someone that started 15 years ago. They'll be done. So again, that's also knowing yourself. But for me, that's what I do. That's step one. Then now I try to take each, because just as you said, when we let things pile up, we start to snap. We don't even know why we are snapping eventually. We are just angry at everybody and everything. And even if somebody touches something as small as your pen, you can flip. So rather than wait for that time, is to, even if you don't sense anything, what I would advise is, at the end of every day, try to do a quick scan. Your quick scan, this can be 10 to 15 minutes. Play. YouTube has so many resources right now. It depends on whatever you want to play. Play some worship, play some instrumental, play something that quiets you down. So you're not trying to play, some of us will now go and play another one that will take us. No, 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 not that one. Play, let me just use
Calming music.
instrumental. Yes,
Hmm.
calming music that is not trying to take you. You are not trying to ascend. Mm, in this case, you are just trying to be, so that you are able to go through your day to find out, okay, what's going on. Then sometimes when something happens, pause. There's this thing that happens in our chest. It starts small. Something is wrong. What's that? So I'll give you an example. This is very ridiculous, but I'll say it anyway. We are all here to be truthful and naked and not ashamed. I went to the supermarket some days ago and I bought stuff. I didn't have a budget. I know that we should have budgets, but I had a budget in my head. I had an idea that, okay, this is how much these things will cost. But by the time I put 95%, or let me say 98% of what I wanted to buy, I went to the counter. By the time I paid, I came back home. I just realized that I was just upset. Nobody had done anything to me. And at first, I didn't know why I was upset. So I later sat down and I had to ask myself, what's the matter? Why are you upset? But you see, if I did not ask myself in that instant, I wouldn't have found out why I was upset. Why was I upset? I now thought about it. I said, wait, you mean I spent 100K right now? And I cannot see, like, you know how you go through your receipts and everything that is on your receipts is in your bag. But I'm looking at it and I was just like, is this how we've come as a nation? Like, but I was just angry. Like, I'm like, come on. Because for that split second, I'm like, if I'm feeling this way, how is the man on the street feeling? But I was only able to filter this because I asked, why are you angry? I literally sat down to say, what just happened here? Why are you upset? Because nobody annoyed me in the supermarket. I didn't have any issues. Everybody was friendly, everybody was helpful. So I knew nobody, there was no external thing. There was no crazy person on the road, all those things that can contribute. And I went alone. So nobody, again, there was nobody caused anything. But I'm saying I had to ask myself, why are you angry? And when I kept quiet, it didn't even take me up to 5 minutes. I realized I was angry. I just felt that level, there was just no value. And I just started, and I was like, sometimes I have this activist behavior, because when I'm getting angry like that, and I start thinking about the person that is maybe with 10K, then I'm like, how are they surviving? And they have a family, and I've gone into overdrive. But what am I saying? By the reason, the minute I caught myself, I was able not to start bleeding on people that did not cut me. Because if I did not catch myself, my son will come and say something, or my husband will come and say something, and I will go off a tangent, and they'll be wondering, what did I say? And that is how I would now start to destroy relationships that have nothing to do with the reason why I'm angry. But okay, that was so for me, that is when you feel sometimes you feel that, as I said, I felt something. It was small, but I already said something was off. So I stopped immediately. What about on days when the day was okay, nothing? Make it a practice still at the end of your day just to pause and check. Because it's in that pausing and checking that you see something that was subtle, but because maybe that day was so happy, you did not notice. But if you don't address it that day, if it happens again, our brain again, autopilot will connect the dots immediately. And when that happens, you just snap at maybe that person or that thing and say, that's how you did. The person is wondering, I not do anything. And that day you're even happy. What? So for me, let me use I was in my friend's book launch over the weekend, today, and he called it a self audit. He said, conduct a self audit daily. So that's what I'll say. Conduct a self audit daily. And it doesn't have to be long. 5 minutes of silence, 10 minutes of silence. You'll be surprised. You are able to scan through your day, and you are able to address things so that you can be able to say, oh, why was I angry? Why was I sad? Why did that happen? Why was I even happy? So that if it's even something you want to replicate, what gave me joy in my day? What made me so excited today? That way, you know the things that you want to repeat, you know the things you want to deal with, you know the things you want to cut, you know the things you want to avoid. And for me, when you do it that way, then it reduces the possibility of you exploding. Because when you explode, so we have two kinds of women. We have the ones that explode externally, which are the ones that snap. A lot of us are like that. But there's also another group which sometimes I even feel is more dangerous.
And we have those.
The ones that implode, thank you, that implode internally, and it turns to sickness. Because your body is not in, because our body too was meant to be in alignment, it's meant to be in coherence. When your body is not aligned, think about it. Sometimes maybe you are too shy or you're afraid, your tummy starts to have knots, you are getting angry, your heart starts
Mhm.
faster. Those are signs you are overthinking and getting stressed. You start to have a headache. So you see, we have signs in our body if only we pay attention. So it is, even for you that is actually that silent one, you are that's a ticking time bomb, because when yours explodes, it usually comes from a medical problem. And by then it's so bad because you've done it for so long. And everybody around you thinks you are fine and you are not. So, what I'll say, as I said, do a self audit every day. I find this easier. Again, think about it as our reading 2 pages a day in your book rather than reading 20 pages in one day. It's so much easier to do it in little bits and pieces than to wait for an explosion.
Thank you so much, Omeyi. Thank you. You have really taken us to places where we do not know, but we are going to find a way of knowing. You said a lot, and let's see what I can quickly recap. First of all, Chude is the most intentional person, one of the most intentional persons I know. And that is how he has been able to tap into himself and his mind, which I consider very rich. A
Yeah.
conversation with you always leaves me really, really energized. And that brings me to asking you that, you know, um, alignment often reveals itself also through relationships, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
Some relationships energize us and some drain us, But yet, as human beings, we will know that the relationship is draining us and we'll still stay there
Mm-hmm.
because of what they will say or how I will be perceived. And we are there, we're being drained. Instead of us to take a walk, maybe
Yeah.
don't close the door with a bang, but remove yourself from the space and then go look for relationships that energize you. Look at how you
Yeah.
mentioned truth, and I'm saying, oh yeah, that's one good relationship somebody should have. Because when you have a conversation with him, you're stimulated. You
Mm-hmm.
can imagine having a conversation with your friend, and the friend says to you, audit yourself on a daily. That is an assignment that if you begin to do, you will find points, you will find the nudges, you will find the misalignment before it creeps up too badly on you for you to be looking for a coach or something. You find it yourself and decide how to go about it. So please, could you just tell
Yeah.
us a bit about things I'm going to give to you at once? Talk about relationships, how
Okay.
alignment can be found in relationships, and then please talk about setting boundaries
Okay.
that most of us women have is that we keep saying yes when we should say no.
Mm-hmm.
And even when people tell us no in love, we are upset, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, relationships, which ones help us to find
Mm-hmm.
alignment? And then how do we set boundaries to be able to say yes when we want to and no without feeling guilty or falling apart? And then again, how do we track repetitive patterns? Like you said, patterns, things occur, and then you find it happens again, and then it happens again. That's some misalignment there. So how do
Yeah.
we catch it?
Okay.
Because our brain, yeah, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's start with relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships, first of all, I have to take us back to something I said. What are your values? What matters to you? Because make relationships based on values, not based on I like your face or this
Mm-hmm.
person is a person of influence. I'm trying to,
Mm-hmm.
we have this thing of we are telling people to network nowadays, get into rooms. And the truth is, unconsciously or consciously, we are becoming a using society. I want to get into certain rooms because they
Mm.
people are going to be there. I don't really care about them, but
Preach.
because they are people of repute, I want to make connections with them. No, that is using people. That is, for me, that's being a parasite.
Preach.
So number one is to make your relationships should be based on your values. What is important to you? So again, what are things that are important to me? Integrity is important to me. Faith is important to me. Honesty, kindness, there are different things. Empathy. So I must be able to say, okay, this particular person, I'm I'm friends with this person because this is what we have in common. It aligns with me. Bear in mind, not all relationships, you also have to know the relationships to carry, how will I say, to come closer. So some relationships that we have, there are some relationships that are circumstantial. So for example, we went to secondary school together, we were colleagues at the workplace or something like that. You should know the reason for those relationships. Does that mean some people in those circles cannot turn into these ones? No, they can. But then you have to be conscious to know that, okay, yes, we were colleagues, but however, during that period, we found out that we have the same values. So that's the reason why we are friends. So, for example, my relationships are based on my values. So there are certain topics now, when I say it among my close knit friends, my friends, I don't need nobody's going to say, why are you thinking like this? What do you mean by that? Because our values are aligned, our values are the same. So for example, decency is one of my core values. So, and we all share that value. So you cannot come and we are defending and one of us has a half of her everything, her chest is open, and we are going to tell her, you look so good and you look so hot. No, we are going to ask you, what's going on? Where are you going? What's that? But what am I saying? That is because my relationships, we have the same values. So I'm not trying to imagine if we don't have the same values, then one of the other people would now say, who are you to judge me? You are trying to judge me. It doesn't matter what I look on the house. No, 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 no. We don't do that here. We don't do it here. So people that have those external values, if you're an adult, I'm not trying to change your values, but I'm not going to bring you into my fold. Because in my fold, I don't need to explain to you why dressing indecently is wrong. If you don't know, please forget about it. I'm not really trying to. So what am I saying? When you make relationships based on values, then there are a lot of things you don't have to explain. It's easy to just flow. And it's easy also for them to call you to order. So for example, in my relationships, let's say my husband upsets me today. No matter how upset I am, if I want to come and tell them about it, I cannot come with that my husband is very stupid, he's this, he's that. They will not even hear anything I'm saying.
Mm,
They are going to call me back.
mm,
Is it your husband you are calling that? Is that how to speak about your husband? Do you understand? So
mm,
so that's what I mean when it comes to values. Because yes, I may be right. He may have really done something that really upsets me, but there is a way to behave, because we say we are in a kingdom. In our kingdom, we do not insult our husband. So, but again, it is my values that picks my relationships, that make it easy for all these things to flow. So it makes it easy for them to lift me when it's needed, for them to hail me. Sometimes I'm like, you guys are good for my ego. But it's not ego in that, oh, you are doing nonsense and they are hailing you. No, it's still based on our values. And they can also draw you back when you are going off a tangent. So that's what I'll say in terms of relationships. Then boundaries. So even in these relationships of values, there are still some things that will vary. And I'll give one example. So I personally, that's me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, please. Let me put that caveat. But I, as a person, I don't do ashwebi. Ashwebi is that for people who may not be Nigerian. Somebody is getting married, they have a particular fabric, and everyone buys that fabric from the person, and they sew it, and everybody looks the same. I don't do it. Personally, I have always believed it is just, I don't even know. Number one, you want to stress me that you have an event. I want to, why should I be buying a new outfit just because you're having an occasion? Because I say when it was mine, I did not stress anybody. It is your presence that matters to me. Did some people eventually say they want to do ashwebi? I say if you want to do it, over, it's okay. You are free. So some people still did though at my wedding. Don't get me wrong. But that was all them. So what am I saying? I have that as a personal policy. It's not wrong. So I'm not going to call out, I'm not going to say, oh, my friends are doing ashwebi now, that's wrong. But no. Same thing, because I have that boundary. Nobody comes to take it personal. So if you're my friend and I don't buy you ashwebi, you're not going to take it personal and say, oh, you don't really care, you don't really do, that's why you're not buying my ashwebi. To those who ashwebi is so important to, because I've had situations like that, ashwebi is important to them. They don't tell me to pay for it, so they literally send it to me and say it matters to me that you wear this. And they send it to me. Even if they charge everybody else, they don't charge me. So what am I saying? I've been able to establish that boundary through the years. And again, it's without sentiment. It's not anything. It's just, for me, it's just a personal. Maybe it's also because me, I got married very early. So I got married so early. When I thought about it, I'm like, I will do 100 ashwebi before I know it. And for me, it's not an, for me, it's just not a wise economic decision. Let me put it that way. Because I got married really early. I was one of the first people, I was 25 when I got married. So most, maybe I had only two, maybe I had two friends that were married when I got married. So I was like, this is how between Ashwebe. No, it's not worth it. So I'm not doing it. So I've set that boundary till now. I don't do it. So sometimes you see, you doesn't mean you will not see me wear ashwebi. So I've given you the clauses. The time that is important, the people that is important to that I wear the ashwebi, they send it to me. And okay, when they now go out of their way to send it to me, okay, I'll now sew it and say, okay, that means it's really important to them. Those that are just like, please, Omeyi, just come. It's your presence I need. I go. Sometimes, maybe I bought ashwebi maybe once or twice based on relationship. Apart from that, I've not gone beyond that boundary. And that was just because at that point in time, it's really, really mattered to the person, was extremely important to the person. I didn't get it, but for the value I also placed on that person, I said, okay, I'll break my rule just this one time. But I generally don't. And I have no apologies for it. So if you want to insult me and say it's because you can't afford, because I don't really care. Again, I've done this thing since I was 20. I got married at 25. So I'm saying I'm 40. What am I? 42? I've done it for what? Over 17 years now. So, but what am I saying? It wasn't always that easy. So the first thing with a boundary is to make a decision and know why. Like, why are you doing it? Because some of us just want to put boundaries because other people are putting boundaries. What is it for you? Know your reason why. Then communicate that reason in love. Don't wait till they have events. So it's not when they had an event. It's not that somebody's wedding is coming now. Then maybe I heard the ashwebi price. Then I'll say I don't do ashwebi. No, 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 no. It had nothing to do with anybody. It had nothing to do with the price of anybody's ashwebi. It was just when I was getting married, I just realized that. So when people were asking me for ashwebi, I was like, I don't want to stress people. So it came from that place and it has stayed with me. So that's what I would say about boundaries. But just as I said, there are some boundaries that are not boundaries for others. And don't make other people feel bad or feel less because your boundaries are not their boundaries. Remember, boundaries are different from values. So on my values, I have no apologies. I have not, I'm not explaining to you. Is that because values, for me, value is core. Breaking my value is like sinning, but breaking a boundary, not really. That's a personal thing. So I don't want some people to mix up boundaries with values because some of the things that you are calling boundaries should be values. Behave yourself, stop it. Should just be values. So know the difference first between your values and your boundaries. The last one was, okay, please help me. What was the last one?
Yeah. Things, patterns, repetitive patterns, and how
Okay.
to track them and break them. Because
Okay.
those patterns show up to tell you something is out of order.
Okay. So let me start from, let me try to be fast with this. So there's this thing that we call in Christendom, a lot of us like to say generational curses, curses. All those curses that we are saying, that we call and act like it's your village people that are causing a problem, is a pattern. Somebody started it. The problem with patterns is that they grow over time. They don't happen in the same way. So if you did a pattern at level 1, by the time it gets to, even if it's you, it will be higher. But or even if you think about like your generations, it's going to be more intensified. So if I use the Bible, Abraham lied that Sarah was his sister because Sarah was beautiful and he did not want them to kill him and blah 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 blah. Abraham never told his son Isaac that I lied that your mother was my sister. We don't have such conversations. So that was not a father-son conversation. And Isaac was not born then. So Isaac does the same thing too. What happened? How did Isaac suddenly look at his wife? Like, why is that the first thing that comes to your head? You do not have other things to say. Why is it the same lie first? Okay, Isaac lies. My wife is my sister. Again, I don't want to be killed. Jacob's lie, pro max. If we continue, by the time Jacob's children were lying, they lied that his child got eaten by a wild animal and blah 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 blah. Do you see how
Mm-hmm.
something that just came from one sister turned to something else? Is because nobody stops to say, okay, what is this? So I'm using two ways because there are patterns that are in families and we have to check that, but there are also patterns that are in our lives. So I gave the example when I said, oh, why was I angry? I was not always like that. So before I would just explode. Why? Because I'll say, that's how I am. Take it or leave it. I'm very blunt. I say the truth. No. But the more I started to engage with the word of God, that is how me I broke my own pattern. The more I was able to engage with the word of God, where the Bible says, oh, let my words be seasoned with grace. Let my words be seasoned with salt. Let speak the truth in love. The Bible not tell me I should not speak the truth. But if the way I speak the truth is not in love, I'm not pleasing God. So I had to now learn there is a way to speak truth in love. Don't lie. So I don't cover up things. I'm not going to act like it didn't happen. But there's a way. So a practical way to do this? How did I break it? Let me give a practical way. This is how I taught my children. I told them that, for example, let us say one of your friends in school, their breath is smelling or their armpit is smelling, something like that. Let's say that their breath is smelling. I said there are two ways to tell them their breath is smelling. Let's say you guys are having break time and you guys are all playing, and you stand in front of everybody there and you say, hey, Bob, this your mouth is smelling. Did you brush today, safe? Why is your mouth smelling like this? I asked them, what will everybody else start doing? They said they will laugh. I said, okay, so did you say the truth? They said yes. But did you say the truth in love? No. Because I said that what have you done by saying it that way? You have destroyed that person's esteem. You have crushed them. Maybe the person did not even know, or maybe the person was even dealing with a medical issue that they know and they've been trying to figure out. Basically, but you have totally destroyed a human being in the name of telling the truth. I gave them option two, the same situation. But I said, what about you call Bob and say, Bob, please come on, I have something to tell you. And you take Bob to a corner and you say, Bob, maybe I think you should go to our talk shop and maybe go and buy Tom Tom or breath mints or something, that your breath right now is not that fresh. But since we're in school and obviously you cannot brush right now, just go and buy Tom Tom or breath mints. Do you have money? If they have, go and buy. If they don't have, okay, I can loan you, even if you don't want to dash them. But I'm not telling you have to dash because I can loan you this I don't know how much is sweet now, 15 or 100 naira, whatever. I can loan you this money. Oh yeah, go and buy sweets. Lick it. Be licking it throughout the day so that your breath. But when you go home, brush. And maybe you start brushing every time. Then the Bob may tell you, thank you so much. Oh, you know what happened today? Truthfully, I did not brush. I woke up late and my mommy was rushing me and I came out. Or Bob can say, thank you so much. I have this medical condition. We are still trying to figure it out. But okay, this is your sweet idea now. At least while they are trying to figure it out, I'll be using it and everything. This is truth, but is in love. Bob's esteem is still kept. Bob now, even in fact, to Bob now, you are his person. Like, this one is my guy. You know? So what am I saying? It's not enough. But if I left myself unchecked, by now I would have been ruthless. And instead of telling truth to liberate people, my truth is destroying people. To what end is it? If your if the pattern that you are is happening is destroying. So for me, first of all, identify what is that pattern. There are some patterns that are good. Like I have a pattern, nothing. I cannot lie on an untidy bed. It's my pattern. There's nothing. I will tidy my bed before I leave. I've gotten up in the morning, my bed is tidy. And if by per chance some child has gone to play on my bed during the day, because all of a sudden your bed looks sweeter to them when they want to play, I don't know why, parents can help me, I will not lie on that bed like that. I don't care what time I come to that bed, I will make that bed. That is a pattern. That is my pattern. So some patterns are good, but the patterns that are bad, me, I was able to find myself in scripture. Because before then, yeah, people used to tell me, Omeyi, you are so blunt. I'll be like, because nobody really could explain it. And instead, I'm like, also because I speak my mind now, I should not speak my mind. But as I engaged in scripture, I started to see that scripture is not telling me not to speak in fact, they're not like my truth. Speak the truth. But I must do it in a way that does not destroy the person. So those are different things. Your pattern may be, I yell, I have a hot temper. You cannot still be having a hot temper. I knew you when you were 15. You are 40 now, you still have hot temper. Hello, grow. Put yourself under, again, inside this one that I say I engage with scripture. I remember I've already said that I do emotional intelligence courses. So it's not only Bible. Put yourself
Thank you,
under to,
May.
thank you. See, I was trying to make it short,
Thank
but I still overspoke. I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. No, you explain so that nobody will be in doubt of what it is you are saying. Thank you very, very much. I think it's all very clear to us. So, and time is fast spent. Honestly, I can stay here and speak with you all day, but some of our listeners have things to do, and I'm sure you have places to go as well. So let's try and bring this to a wrap, and then we'll see. So I'm going to ask you my very last question for today.
Okay.
And it goes down. Alignment shows up in calendars before it shows up in outcomes. So, do you agree? And why do you agree? And if you don't agree, why don't you agree?
Okay. So I agree to a major extent. So what do I mean? I'll make this fast. Just like I spoke about daily choices and things like that. So for example, my son, one of my sons, I have two. One of my sons has inter-house sports sometime in March. It's already on my calendar. I have had my husband put it on his calendar because it matters to us. We go for inter-house sports as a family. Nobody is missing. We go. It's our family. That is part of our, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to, let's say it's a value,
Values
but I don't know what to
or
call it.
core values or core principles as a family.
Or a ritual or something.
Yeah.
So I've already put that date, which means I don't care. Or somebody will now come that, oh, may you have come and speak for me here, or come and do this here on that day. I'm not available. It's locked. Why is it locked? It's locked because of my child. So the things I have, as much as possible, things you have control over, lock them. So that's what I mean when I say I agree to a major extent. The reason why but always leave room for error, not error, for, what do I mean?
Ability.
You are not owner of your life,
Yeah.
which means as much as I want to put everything on a calendar, the Holy Spirit, I should still be flexible enough that the Holy Spirit can send somebody, bless you, can send
Thank you.
somebody and say, and maybe the Holy Spirit wants me to do something in April, and maybe he has not yet told me. Maybe he chooses to tell me in March. I cannot now say, Holy Spirit, why are you just telling me now? I don't have it on my calendar. Who am I?
I know, right?
So
No, that would be interesting to hear. That conversation
exactly.
will be interesting to hear.
So that's
Mm.
what I mean. So yes, have plans of things that matter, of people that matter on your calendar, but still be flexible so that when the Holy Spirit can trust you, can send you on certain errands. Or even sometimes life can happen to important people in your life that wasn't a plan, but you can still show up because of the relationship. So that's what I'll say about that.
All right. Thank you very much. Before I let Omeyi go, I'm going to try and bring this home for everyone listening. I'm going to ask a lot of recite questions. Please write down as you hear. And then after that, Omeyi will final contribution on this topic today and with a wrap. So here goes. My first question is, if you could realign just one thing this month, what would it be? Dear woman, if you could realign just one thing this month, what would it be? What are you willing to release to create order in your life? Omeyi has spoken so much about order and so much about, planning. So what are you willing to release to create order in your life? My third question will be, what does an aligned version of you look like in this season? Remember, she spoke so much about the seasons of our lives. So in this particular season of yours, what does an aligned version of you look like? The next question is, what small intentional steps can you take starting today that you can run out for a week and then do an appraisal for yourself? What small intentional step can you take starting about right now and then keep at it for 1 week and then appraise yourself?
Have we lost you? Is it just me or you're frozen? Okay, let me look for this question so that I can see it since till she gets back in. Give me a second. I'm trying to.
This week I was able to do ABC. And in doing this, by the time she got to the end of the month, she will appraise herself by herself. Are you on track? Is this in line with what you wanted to achieve today, in this year, in this month, career wise?
Your voice seems to be breaking. Okay, so she seems to be off. So let's give her some minutes. But I know she was just talking about things to do. Okay, she's back.
Who is back? Me or you?
Yes, you you went out for a second.
Oh,
You stopped.
oh, I
You
did.
ended at career wise. That was the
Okay.
last thing that we heard.
Oh, okay. So, and what she achieved wise. And she said by at the end of the year, she wasn't struggling saying, oh, what did I do? How did this year go? No, all she needed to do was to carry all her monthly, weekly, monthly reports that she has been writing to her boss and to herself. And she could see, oh, okay, yes, Ife, this is what you did. And that really, really interested me. And I said to myself, I will try that this year because indeed, business does not equal meaningful achievements. We need to be sure that in
Yes.
our business that we're doing things that are meaningful. And this is where I invite Omeyi to please give us her closing remarks to women on how they can always do alignment checks on themselves and ask themselves constantly without fear, what in my life is out of order, and find ways to fix it.
Okay, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much again for this opportunity. I've had an amazing time today. I hope you guys had a great time as well. So, to just bring this to a close, again, I've said a lot today, but as you realize, a lot of things I said were based on my faith. For you, faith may not be a core. So you need to find out what your core is, because that is where you can center your alignment on. If it is faith for you, your definition of alignment and all that should come from there. What does your faith say? Then you are able to figure that out. As I said about my friend's term that I fapped, which I love, self audit. Have a daily self audit. There was also something that I shared that day that I liked as well. Try to build your life around things that give you joy, that doesn't have to do with money. So, what are the little things that give you joy? For me, as I said, that gist that I get from my son when he gets back from school every day are one of the things that give me joy. If you see me, I'm all excited. So, I do it, and I do it happily. Find the things that doesn't cost any money. So, find the things in your life that give you joy. Know your values, stand by your values, document your values. For me, even as a family, in our living room, our values are framed. Yes, if you come into my home, it's right there. This is what we stand for in this family. So, know your values, live according to your values, because your values are what will always keep you in alignment. Anytime you seem to be going off alignment, look again at your values and bring yourself back. You are human, it's okay to fall, but don't stay on the floor. Thank you again for having me. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Omeyi. And thank you again for lending yourself to this platform and for sharing as much as you have done. Um, it was what it is. It was absolutely worth it, when
Thank
I was doing the promo for this show today, I said to everybody, Omeyi is the real deal. And I'm very sure that they agree with me that they've gotten their time's worth. And even for me, I did say that I was going to come in here to learn. And yes, I have learned, you know, and I'll be telling you all the things I learned and how I'm applying them and how I'm unlearning some things and also, onboarding some new things. So, dear woman, this is where we bring this conversation to a close today. Um, it is very, very important that in this year 2026 that you work in alignment because see, you are your most important, your MVP is you as a human being. The biggest investment you ever make in life should be in yourself, to understand yourself, to understand the things that make you tick, to understand the things that, make sense to you, to understand the things that enables your head sit on your neck properly. No one can tell you that. Do not be outward focused only. We care so much about, oh, what would they say? What would they not say? Nobody talks about anybody who is not doing well anyway. So if they're going to talk about you, you're doing something and you're doing something right. So rather focus on yourself, find yourself and be true to yourself. That's what is called authenticity. And then when you are aligned, you come into something called a flow. Athletes understand this. They say when you're in the zone, when you're in the flow, you just take off and you're running and nothing else matters. Everything begins to aid you. You start hearing terms like wind aided. Oh, the universe moved for them. But that's because you are in alignment. Because when you're in alignment, you become a magnet. You begin to attract the things that you're running after right now. So it's important that you sit down, take a pause, and say to yourself, for instance, Ezinne, what is it in 2026 that if you get it done will make the biggest meaning to you? And then break it down like Omeyi taught us. Break it down, and then form a plan to run after those things every day and then audit yourself. That's a new one every day. Okay? You audit yourself every day. What do I wish for everyone this 2026? I wish that you will live aligned. I wish that you live intentionally. And I wish that you remember that you don't need a new life. You just need realignment. You know, you don't need new goals. You just need to realign and tackle the goals that you thought you couldn't do before, and I hope that you do this. Of course, we have my book. My new book is out. It's on seller, the 30 Days Alignment Challenge. So please go get it and do that challenge. You can do it in groups. It's best done in groups. Lots of groups are on right now on it. So go get it Start one with your group of friends. Take the alignment challenge every day and then translate it to your life and then find yourself soaring beyond your wildest limits. The people doing it do not have 10 heads. They don't worship a different God from you. They're just more intentional, more ordered. Align the places that are out of order, and you find yourself walking in divine purpose. So this is where I'll bring this to a close this week. Until I come your way next week, keep living. And from Omeyi and myself, is up you. Omeyi, I'm waiting for your thumbs up sign. Exactly. Is up you. And bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so much.
watching. You're welcome.